If slowing down makes you feel guilty, anxious, or behind, it's not just because you're driven, it's because your nervous system thinks rest is dangerous. My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed executive coach. And on today's episode of the Unlock Your Blocks podcast, I want to talk you through how productivity becomes a survival pattern that you don't even know you are in. Because who doesn't want to be productive, right? But you have to be able to reclaim your energy without losing your edge in order for productivity to actually be serving its purpose. So, if we're going to uproot this pattern, we have to figure out what's underneath it, because the thing that drives it, the thing that drives you to be productive at all costs, is what we need to reprogram. Okay, so you might have a sense that if you are being helpful or high performing, that then you're going to be emotionally safe or praised. As children, we learn this a lot, right? Good job, good boy, good girl. We learn these things that it's like if you do good, if you do the right thing, then you get praised. If you do the wrong thing, you get in trouble. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't have general rules for our children, right? Like I am the first person to say there is a space between authoritarian parenting, which is really aggressive consequences and maybe some unpredictable burdens of the child being responsible for the parents' anger or, causing negative reactions in the parents. Now, authoritarian parenting is the opposite of doormat parenting. I coined that term because I needed a way to talk to my clients who wanted to be gentle, attached parents and to help them understand like, hey, we actually do need boundaries. Children thrive with really high quality boundaries and with kindness and firmness. A child that is able to be unboundaried and run the house is a child that is going to be unstable emotionally because they're not meant to carry that burden, right? So there's somewhere in here where we need to have boundaries as a kid, but we don't need people to be giving us consequences for making normal human mistakes or not being able to accomplish perfection in whatever area. But if you learned that by being the most helpful little girl or being the best piano performer on the stage, that you got more attention or you got more of your needs met or you just avoided judgment, if you were working the hardest in the room, then you're going to have this need to be productive, need to be high performing, and it's going to cause you to have to sacrifice the little parts of you that make you uniquely yourself, your emotional truth and your true inner self. So you might also have seen in your family of origin that rest was seen as laziness or seen as you have to earn it. And when all the work is done, then you're allowed to rest, right? Once everything is perfect, then you can slow down. So you might have had high performing parents who were that way and you just never saw them take a break. Maybe they never told you that you can't, but you kind of understood from watching and from reading the room that this is not going to be an acceptable way to operate. We don't rest before the work is done. Maybe you had parents that told you that. Productivity might have been presented to you as a way to be accepted in the family or be accepted in the classroom. Your authority figures may have given you the idea that in order to be a good girl, right? Because a nice girl, a good girl does what she's told. And maybe she's seen and not heard, but she is constantly paddling under the surface to be better, be better, be better. So you might have gotten safe emotionally by being the hardest worker in the room and always being productive. But if that's you, then that means that as an adult, your nervous system is still seeking that same pattern. It means that you're not going to be able to rest without feeling like you should be doing more, which in and of itself, that paradox is exhausting. It will drain you to try to rest and feel at the same time that it is undeserved or feeling like you should do more. Maybe you should be fixing something. Maybe you should be catching up. Do you ever live in that illusion? I absolutely do. Like, oh, I'm just going to catch up a little bit on the things that I feel behind in when I get a break. You might even notice that when you have time off, your mind stays busy. Maybe you're planning or you're worrying or your system might be scanning the horizon for the next hurdle, trying to plan enough ahead. Man, I remember when I first started doing this work, I remember the day that I realized it doesn't matter if all is well. I absolutely am always planning everything to death just to make sure that that the other shoe doesn't drop on me or the rug doesn't get pulled out from under me. But the thing is, you can't actually plan enough at all for that stuff not to happen. But it was a mode that I developed as a little girl to try and be ready for every eventuality, especially the bad ones. If I can just plan well enough, I will not be sideswiped or, blindsided by these bad things, and that will make it somehow less painful. But it meant that I was always trying to be productive, always trying to achieve, always trying to get my plan together and make sure that I didn't slow down long enough to risk criticism or loss or emotional exposure somehow. Like maybe someone's going to see that I'm taking an undeserved rest, God forbid. And so then the productivity becomes your coping mechanism for anxiety, which makes true rest feel really unsafe or unearned and makes productivity responsible for the general unease that you feel. So it's a survival pattern that just continues and perpetuates itself. So your mind can't rest, your body can't rest, even when you have the time, you're on vacation or you have a day off. I'm doing air quotes. You're scanning for what else you need to be ready for. You're trying to prevent the other shoe to drop. All of these things masquerading as productivity. And this is the trap. This is where we find ourselves as high performing women, high achieving women. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you are scaling your business or your career, or you are working to manifest a really beautiful lifestyle of abundance and peace and ease. But your system doesn't feel safe unless it thinks it's being productive. Now, when we are born, the way that our systems are designed is for a parent, our mom, to lead us in a flow between excitement and rest, and work and rest, and to always bring ourselves back to a mother that teaches us to bring ourselves back to joy. So rest and joy are kind of synonymous in this example. So if you didn't get that, which most of us didn't, let's just be honest. This research only came out in the last decade or two. Most of us did not get this as children. So when you didn't get that, your system acclimated to whatever you did get, and it will try and reproduce those same cycles and patterns and rhythms from childhood. So if the rhythm was go, 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 hurry, produce, do things all the time, be more and more independent, do all the stuff for yourself, learn how to make sure everybody else is okay, and sacrifice yourself to do it if necessary in order to be the most productive that you can, because productivity is always good, then man, your life as an adult is going to be so full and busy. And it's not all going to feel good. It's going to be almost like a compulsion to stay productive. So rest feels foreign. Ease, slowing down, doesn't feel good. So when we are in this space where productivity is trapping us and is the problem, it is the obstacle, it's the thing that pulls us in and won't let us rise to the next level naturally, that's where we have to address the nervous system, because the nervous system is telling us, I only feel safe while producing. All that you have to do is to reprogram it, update it to understand it's safe not to produce something outward that I can prove gives me value and worth. Because even though we are resting, we actually are being productive. We can't really update that part of our brain until we walk ourselves through the inner child reparenting and the nervous system regulation that's required to make your system feel safe with rest. But that rhythm of productivity and rest, high excitement or high work and joy and peace and calm, those were all meant to be complementary with one another. That is how the human body and psyche and nervous system are designed. So we have to launch out in this unknown. And the only way that your system will allow you to do it is if you regulate as you go and you create a bigger window of tolerance for the rhythm. Rest and productivity have to go hand in hand. You can't have all of one and none of the other. You have to find the flow that works for you, because being a high achieving woman as you are, your system's not going to accept just, quote, being lazy, right? It's not going to accept that. So you don't have to worry. If you're worried that if you slow down, you'll become lazy, or if you feel lazy when you take a rest, literally the fact that you have the capacity to evaluate whether or not you are lazy means you're not. It means that you have a sensitivity and a self-awareness about it, that there is no danger, that you're going to just be lazy. Now, if you start to rest and you haven't before, there's a chance you'll have a pendulum swing, right? There's a chance that you'll go from extremely busy to being like exhausted. And I have a client who's been working her way through a really intense set of trauma, but also a beautiful evolution. She is a CEO of her own company, but the first company she built, she got forced out of. And so once they reached a really, really high productivity level, she got forced out by the board essentially. And then she went into a season where she wasn't working around the clock. And all of a sudden, this exhaustion and grief hit her. And she just kept coming to our sessions and saying, like, I just feel so tired. I just feel like I'm so lazy when I sleep in past, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. because her system had no grid for this. It's like, what are you doing? We have only ever survived. And in her case, she had such severe trauma growing up. In her case, she did survive because she was able to work her way into better circumstances away from her family of origin. So her system's not wrong. Resting when she was little would have been an actual physical threat to her safety. So as an adult, when she was forced to go through this period of rest, she went into this huge pendulum swing to like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I can do nothing. And she needed that. And now that she's been through a couple of months of that and she's rebuilding her life and building another company, she's hit her rhythm again and she's bringing rest alongside the productivity. And it's a really beautiful evolution. So you have to start by facing your fear that you might end up being lazy, that you might not end up getting enough done if you allow yourself to slow down. And I would recommend doing it with help and support. And if you want to start small with some nervous system regulation, you can download my free PDF guide, 5 nervous system hacks to do at your desk. And you can just start with a little nervous system regulation each day. What this does is it sends the message to your body that you are safe to move forward. You are safe no matter what it is that you're doing next. So that is a great place to start. And if you need a little bit more support, you can talk to a therapist. You can book a free 15-minute chat with me if you identify as a woman, and we will get to the bottom of it. But essentially, you need to give permission to yourself for taking a break, taking a pause, no matter how small of a space in your schedule and your time and your energy you can create for yourself. Start where you can. Create a pause pocket if necessary, 30 seconds, a minute at a time. Do some deep breathing. And then from there, you want to interrupt your automatic urge to grab your phone or start cleaning or start doing things, catching up on stuff while you sit still. Okay. So just see what you can tolerate for sitting still, even if it's just little, and resist the urge to go do something productive during that time. And then you want to ask yourself this question and write it down if you can get the answer clearly. What am I afraid will happen if I rest when my body asks for it? Are you afraid of that laziness? Perceived laziness? Are you afraid that you won't have worth or value? Are you afraid you'll get behind? What is it? Identify that and you can start regulating to help your body feel safer and safer, slowing down. So I hope this is helpful for you. Again, you can download my free PDF guide, elyssasmith.com/reset. That'll be in the show notes. I hope this was helpful for you. And until next time, I hope you take such good care of yourself.